Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff? Amos?
Yeah. It's me. I'm the good stuff.
You've been under our nose this whole time. I've been asking Brian, where's the good stuff? And you were right there off camera, our producer, the entire time.
That's why you could never find it.
I guess what I should be saying then is, where's the Brian, Amos?
We don't ask questions like that around here, Tom.
Yeah, listen, all we can say is there's a security conference going on.
He's definitely at a
when
conference.
Brian's not here and DEF CON and Black Hat are happening, you don't ask questions. Because you don't want to... Actually, you might not mind the answers. The answer is like he's like running himself ragged at a booth at a conference is what the answer is.
That is the legit answer, yeah.
Yeah. So pray for him, and he'll be back soon. In the meantime, Amos is stepping in. Thank you, Amos.
I'm here to do my best.
Fantastic. No, and we have sports. All the streaming news is sports related these days. So I think Brian is extra thankful that you're stepping in today. Let's get right to the supply run.
Supply run.
I gotta hand it to the marketing folks at Disney, Fox, and Warner. They've been slow dripping news about this big sports streaming service that they're launching this year. They first announced that they were going to do it. Then they announced that it was going to be called Venu, V-E-N-U. Then they announced the price. Now you know how much you're going to pay for it. Venu will cost you $42.99 a month in the United States when it launches in the autumn, timed to start with the NFL season. Technically, if it starts with the NFL season, it'll be launching in late summer, but you get the picture. It's going to be there for the NFL. That's what they say. So the clock's ticking. Preseason is just about to start. So
it is.
Yeah. We're gonna need Venu to be launching pretty soon. It's gonna be $42.99 a month. That's the big news. If you are like, hold on, what is this again? Joint venture of Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery. That means you get sports from 14 networks. So everything they have the rights to goes into Venu. That includes ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus will be in here. If you get ESPN Plus, you don't need it. If you get Venu, you won't need ESPN Plus, I should say. ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus, TNT, TBS, FS1, FS2, Fox, all the sports that either Warner or Fox and the existing Fox, not the one that Disney bought pieces of, Fox Sports, TNT, TBS, ESPN, ABC. It's all in there. There is also news, so you'll get SportsCenter. There's also highlights, documentary programs, so you're going to have some on-demand stuff as well. It does not get you all the sports in the United States. There is no CBS Sports, at least not yet. We'll see what happens with Paramount. You know, Skydance is going to have them here shortly, apparently, and then maybe they'll make a deal. NBC Sports, not part of this either. Comcast still trying to figure out what it wants to do. So it will not have every game from every league, but it will have a big chunk of them. And it is expected to be available through its own app. You'll be able to download a Venu app, but you can also probably get it bundled with Disney Plus, Hulu, or Max. Not with Fox, but Fox doesn't have a Fox streaming platform the way these others do. It has Tubi, but Tubi doesn't have all of the Fox stuff. So there you go. That's the situation with Venu. $42.99 a month means that when ESPN comes with whatever its ESPN only service, which they also say they're going to launch will be, it will be less than $42.99 a month because it just makes sense. They're not going to charge you just for ESPN the same amount they're charging for Venu. Venu will get you ESPN and all of the ESPN stuff. And so when they launch a standalone ESPN, it's going to be less than $42.99. My guess is going to be like $30, something like that. Amos, as a watcher of sports, this does not get you all the sports, but it gets you a big chunk of them. How do you feel?
I mean, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I don't know if $42.99 is a price I'm willing to pay for it.
It's not cheap.
That's not. But I honestly don't know, especially if this includes every NFL game, then that's still half the price.
It won't have every NFL game because it doesn't have CBS.
Oh, see? Yeah.
And actually NBC has Sunday night, right? So
yeah. So I'm not sure.
You'll still need to get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV if you want to get it.
I've been getting the Game Pass from
the mobile one. Yeah.
It's like $70, but then I can watch basically because I don't watch live games very often anyway, unless it's a Niners game. In which case I'll watch it if it's on my my Plex or whatever. But I usually watch them after the fact, and it does the compressed games and stuff like that. So it's actually a good deal for me because I can watch 5 or 6 games in the time it would normally take me to watch one game. But $42.99 seems a little steep, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a value for people that are really into a lot of different sports, especially if you're into multiple forms of racing and some of the off sports.
Yeah. I think if you are someone who likes sports, it's not like you don't like a sport necessarily. You might, but you like sport. You just want to have sports on. You want to have Sports Center, but you don't want cable. This is your option. This will get you that. It will get you there. And Paulus points out it will not have the Amazon Thursday Night Football, nor will it have Netflix. Netflix is going to have NFL games too. So there's a lot of smattering of other sports out there. It won't have Apple's Major League Baseball on Friday nights. It won't have Major League Soccer because that's all on Apple TV Plus. So it's never going to get you all the sports, but it's going to get you a lot of them. And I think for a lot of people, it's ESPN and other things, right?
Yeah.
So if it's ESPN, I want ESPN. Ooh, but I also want Fox because I want racing, or I want the weekend baseball game, or the NBA games on TNT while they last. It's sort of like I want ESPN with extras. That seems to be what Venu fills the need for. And
I mean, of all of this, honestly, if you just gave me a $5 a month fee to watch Sports Center every day, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I just need that one show on ESPN, but this is probably really good for people that like just in general sports, like you said, and it's probably going to be too much for people like me that like a couple sports, but not all of them. So I'm more interested in someone like you, Tom, because you follow more sports than I do. Where is this on your spectrum as far as cost benefit?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm in I get DirecTV Now for my sports that aren't on the platforms. I'm watching the Olympics on Peacock, even though a lot of it is on DirecTV Now because it's a better way to get everything. I do watch Major League Baseball on Apple TV Plus from time to time. I do probably not watch anything else. I've watched the NBA on Max simply because I wanted to see what it felt like. And it didn't feel weird or anything. But most of the time I'm watching on DirecTV Now. I do that because it has all the rest of them. This won't have all the rest of them. So for me, right, I don't think it's worth $43 a month because it's not going to replace DirecTV Now. If, on the other hand, I look at it as, well, my CBS stuff is on Paramount Plus and my NBC stuff is on Peacock, then it starts to feel like, okay, what are my regional sports networks? And that's where I get trapped. The Dodgers games, which my wife is a Dodger fan, not me, but it is an essential in our household, are only on Sportsnet LA, which is only carried by either a Spectrum cable subscription or DirecTV Now. If that goes direct, suddenly I start considering this more because I can drop that expensive DirecTV Now subscription, which is more than $43 a month. Right. And I'm not sure what I'd be missing at that point. The NHL network, maybe, because I can get Major League Baseball network as part of my MLB at Bat subscription.
I wonder if this $43 a month is going to be discounted at all for bundles, or if there's going to be streaming service or
if you bundle it with
deal,
Disney Plus, is it going to be cheaper?
If you can get it for $20 with Verizon or something like that, like we're going to talk about a little bit later, that could be really compelling. That I think that's going to be where the line gets really fuzzy for me, because once you drop that down about half that, or even $25 a month for the times when I'm, as a pick up and go service, for the times when I'm watching a sport and I want to see as much of it as possible, this might work out for me during football season or whatever.
Yes.
The commentary and things like that, the stuff that I don't get with the Game Pass,
Are there other things on here that you would watch besides the NFL?
Well, FS1 and FS1, Fox, and TBS, and sometimes TNT. I'm not sure if they've been doing it recently. Will have NASCAR races.
Okay.
And I really like the commentary on a lot of that. The ecosystem of NASCAR, but NASCAR and NFL are really the only two that I follow on a regular basis. So that's kind of where I'm at with this.
$1.43 a day.
That's
to watch all the sports.
But it's not all the sports.
It's not all the, but it's a lot.
All the sports.
$1.43 a day to watch a lot of the sports.
Yeah.
You decide whether you want to pay $1.43 a day for a lot of the sports, or $1.43 a month for all of the Cordkillers.
Wait, are you saying all the Cordkillers?
All the Cordkillers.
Or is this another thing where like you get $1.43, you get, some like half of it, and then there's like regional versions of Cordkillers.
You get the Cordkillers.
Yeah.
Whether Brian's here or not, you get the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
You get it, and you get it faster than other people. You get it early. You don't see them doing that on Venu. They're not saying like, oh, you'll get the NFL games before No, you get them at the same time as everybody else.
Yeah.
No, Cordkillers, we give you the full experience early, and you get After Talk, which nobody else gets. So you get all the Cordkillers. If you're like, whatever happened to Spoiler in Time, it's in After Talk.
You make a compelling argument, but say I just want all my Cordkillers in one place. I don't want to go looking throughout the internet and having to look at 15 different feeds and going to 4 different websites and following it on this site and this site. Then I got to come over here to get this, and I got to go over here to tell me.
Patreon.com/Cordkillers. One place. That's it. You're done.
Just one?
Yep.
It can't be that easy.
It is that easy. And in fact, we're not going to charge you $42.99 a month. You could pay that if you want. Yeah, it's up to you. We're not going to stop you either. We're not your boss of you. You pay as much as you want, but you don't have to. That's all I'm saying.
So a single low price that you can determine yourself.
You pick the price
from a singular location.
Yep. Patreon.com/Cordkillers.
And you get all of it.
Yep.
And some of it earlier than anybody else.
Nothing held back. Take that, NFL.
I gotta tell you, I kind of like it.
I kind of love it. You can't afford not to. That's what I say.
Well,
Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's go to the search party. Amos, did you watch the Squid Game? Not the reality show, the scripted original Squid Game on Netflix.
I did.
Are you excited for a second season of the Squid Game?
I am.
Well, I have a Christmas present for you.
I'm happy.
Squid Game season 2 arrives December 26th, Boxing Day, on Netflix. And not only that, they said there will be a season 3, and that will be the final season. So there's going to be 3 chapters in this story. Season 1, season 2, season 3, complete series.
Okay. There's so much about this. There's so much about this that I love. 1, we get a date for season 2. Great. Awesome. The date is like in that perfect time frame to binge. It's in binge week. It doesn't need to be called Boxing Day. We can call it binging day.
Binging day.
It's the perfect day. Because even if you don't finish it that day, you still got a couple more days before the work weeks really start piling in and getting you again. It's that lull, that seasonal lull right there. That's amazing. And then to tell me there's going to be a 3rd season, I'm in. Great. And then to tell me that that's the last season, that it's going to be
They're not going to string you along.
The story's going to finish.
They're not going to cancel it before the story's done.
Right. No, this is amazing. This is awesome.
They're going to kill all the people by season 3. Did you see the teaser for this?
I did not.
It's track and field. It's perfectly timed for the Olympics. Netflix knows what they're doing. So it looks like an Olympic ad because you see like track and field, you see people running, and then suddenly you hear shooting sounds, and then the track and field people suddenly are replaced by people in the Squid Game jogging suits and start falling over.
Honestly, though, I'm really glad this is going to end after 3 seasons because it would.
There's only so many games. Yeah.
Well, I'd be afraid of it end up being, Saw light, like we don't need to go into torture porn. Like the idea of the games and everything else, it fits nicely in this little bubble, and I don't need that leaking out everywhere. So now, I'm excited for this.
Goucham points off to think it was originally a one-off. However, if you recall, it ends on a bit of a, well, there's a cliff involved. That's all I'll say.
There's an interesting, the last episode is very interesting.
Yeah. So it definitely implies that the author had a, continuation, at least vaguely in mind. Right. So to me, it's not like, oh, it was a self-contained story that finished and now they're forcing him to come up with 2 more seasons. It feels like, oh, no, there was more story pointed at. He got the opportunity to develop it and said, this is as much of it as I can develop and feel good about it. And I like that too.
And that's contrasted to, say, Man in the High Castle, where it was originally a short story.
Well, no, it's a novel.
Okay.
Or novella. It's a shorter novel, but it's a novel. And they kept going after the novel. Yeah.
And then they just stopped. And like, right as I was really invested in the story, thinking, man, I can't wait to see where this goes, it just disappears.
Yeah.
Like, if I can avoid that feeling, I'm in. And tell me that there's going to be a 3rd season, awesome, and it's going to be the end of it. And I know there's an arc and there's a plan.
It's a trilogy.
It's amazing. That's great. That's great.
The reboot of Battlestar Galactica that was coming from Esmail Corp, Sam Esmail's group. The robot. Why? I keep now I want to say Bad Robot, and I can't remember the name of the actual show about the hackers. Mr. Robot. Thank you.
Mr. Robot.
Thank you, my own brain, for reminding me. The reboot of Battlestar Galactica from Sam Esmail, the Mr. Robot guy, no longer happening. That was a long way of disappointing you. It is not coming to Peacock. It was going to come to Peacock. It is not coming to Peacock. However, the good news is they're still shopping it. So it's still going to be made by UCP, which is a NBC Universal company. Mm-hmm. It's just before it was going to be made by the studio and then put on an NBC platform. Now they're going to make it. They're just going to put it on somebody else's platform if somebody else buys it. So if you want to see Sam Esmail's take on the Battlestar Galactica story, granted, this would be the 3rd person to take on the Battlestar Galactica story. But if you want to see that, there's hope.
I wonder what it says about the story if this is even being dropped from Peacock, or does it say something more about the story that they're trying to tell, or about Peacock as a streaming platform?
It's hard to tell. My suspicion is that it says more about NBC and Comcast and Peacock. Peacock not doing so great in the old streaming numbers. My conspiratorial brain, which I keep locked up in a small little part of my brain, but it's there, says, what if this is Comcast tacitly indicating Peacock is not long for this world? We don't want to spend money pouring Battlestar Galactica into keep Peacock. We can make more money selling it somewhere else. And who knows, we may own that somewhere else at some point. Because I don't believe Comcast gives up on streaming NBC content. The Olympics are doing too well. I think it might buy a platform, merge a platform or something. I think it's looking at that. And so they're like, let's shop this one out somewhere before we commit it to something and then have to change it. That's my conspiratorial brain. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea if that's true.
I'll be interested to see how this shakes out, even if I'm not all that interested in the reboot itself.
Did you watch the original Battlestar Galactica? like the 80s one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you hadn't watched the reboot, right?
The Reboot, right? But except for those 4 episodes
for the full experience,
and then like 1 or 2 others that I just let it play and watched.
Okay.
But yeah, this is I wonder how much of I wonder which coal mine this is a canary in.
It is definitely a canary.
Right.
Yeah. But we should have put a tracker on it because we don't know what coal mine it's in. Yeah. But it's fallen over dead.
It's
there's a gas leak.
It's not long for the world, if anything else. But yeah. So
are you a Doctor Who fan?
I am not a Whovian.
Okay. Those who are probably already know this, but Doctor Who was a BBC production. However, it has become a Russell T Davies production and then put on to BBC. And because of that, gave it the latitude to put it on Disney Plus. So it's on Disney Plus almost everywhere in the world, except where BBC has the rights, which is, of course, the United Kingdom, possibly, I think, Ireland too. I know, of course, Northern Ireland, which is a part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. But I think maybe Ireland, you have to watch it on the BBC, even though you're not in the UK. But everywhere else gets Disney Plus. Tubi has picked up season 2 of a coming-of-age comedy called Borders, Boarders, for North America and Latin America. So Tubi is Fox's ad-supported streamer. It's a fast service, free ad-supported service. The 6-episode second season will be a co-production, similar to Doctor Who, between Tubi and the BBC.
Again with the Canaries, like I wonder what this means for the way that BBC has traditionally done their shows.
Oh, I have a little more about where this canary is.
Well then,
there's a limited number of places this canary is. There's a lot of controversy over the TV licensing fee. There is a lot of controversy over the BBC's budget. There's just a lot of controversy swirling around the BBC. So they're pinching their pennies. They're watching their budget, and they want to be able to make money, but not infringe on the sensibilities of that TV licensing fee, right? Which has hamstrung them in the past from making money on things because they needed to, abide by their rules. So saying we're not even producing it, Russell T Davies frees them up, and I imagine it frees them up with Borders a little bit too to make it a co-production.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Or as Supernova Girl puts it, because the BBC is broke.
Now, is the BBC, is that, clear my mind on this, because in my head, BBC is a wholly owned subsidiary of the British government.
Nope.
No.
It is its own company.
Okay.
But it is authorized by the British government and funded by the TV license fee. It's more part of the British government than PBS is part of the US government, but it's similar.
Okay. It's funded in similar ways, even though the structure it might be different.
Yeah. So it's not a government run broadcasting, the way PBS is not run by the government,
right?
But it is funded by the government in much more of a way than PBS is funded by the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that makes more sense then. That I'm tracking what you're saying.
Yeah.
There. So
PBS doesn't get nearly as much money from the U.S. government as the BBC gets from the TV licensing fee. It also doesn't get funded by the government. It gets funded through the government collecting a.
So anytime they can produce something of high quality and let it be broadcast somewhere else, but then not eat the cost of the production while still being able to maintain their own rights to broadcast in their area, it's going to work out for them. Okay.
Bingo. Bingo.
Sounds great.
And in your correction emails, be gentle. Thank you. Jason Reitman is producing a movie about Saturday Night Live. The movie is called Saturday Night, but it's a movie, so I think it's not live. Saturday Night will tell the story of how Saturday Night Live came about, and Sony has set a release date. It's coming October 11th, which is a meaningful date because that is the day that Saturday Night Live first premiered.
How much do we know about this?
Oh,
Like,
there's a bunch. Yeah, there's all like all the no. It's fiction. You know, it's a biopic
Okay.
essentially, and yeah, we know a bunch of the casting around it. Let's see, Dylan O'Brien plays Dan Aykroyd. Gabrielle LaBelle plays Lorne Michaels.
Okay.
Corey Michael Smith plays Chevy Chase. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. John Batiste plays Billy Preston. That's kind of fun. And that one I knew. But yeah, it's J.K. Simmons plays Milton Berle. I've forgotten that. That's cool.
And anytime I can get J.K. Simmons in a movie, I'm good.
Yeah. And I don't know about you. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live. I would, turn the sound down and stay up late when I shouldn't have and watch it on the QT. I've always enjoyed Saturday Night Live. I've watched it more or less over the years. Sometimes I'm not watching every episode. Sometimes I am. I always like Weekend Update. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested. I'm excited about this.
I love Saturday Night Live as a barometer of history.
Yeah.
Because you can go back and watch these episodes and you can kind of tell within a few years when it was recorded based on what's going on, with what jokes are being made, what actor is appearing, things like that. But also it tracks. We were just talking on Apple Vision Show. There's a skit with with Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor, where Richard Pryor is going in for a job interview, and that episode could never be aired today.
Mm-hmm.
Because of different sensibilities and such. Yeah. But I love SNL in that aspect of it. So if this movie can capture any of that nostalgia and that retrospective aspect of it and kind of bring that to the front and play on the heartstrings a little bit there, I would love it. I'm a big SNL fan. I'm not a hardcore SNL fan, but I will watch it anytime it comes across my purview.
And that original cast is legendary. Some of them left us too soon.
Yep.
But then Bill Murray, not part of the original cast, by the way. He was not on the first season. No, even though he was a part of the Not Ready for Primetime players. But he is an alum of, that first run of Saturday Night Live, and man, he is a national treasure. Yep. Finally, NASA TV now only for cord cutters, shutting down its cable channels. Actually, hat tip to Allison Sheridan, who was the first to text me when the news broke about this. Everyone is directed to NASA Plus, which is an ad-free service. So it's not a fast service, just a streaming service that you can get in the NASA app, which you can get for iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, or even in your web browser. So you can still watch NASA TV. You're just watching it over the internet. You're not watching it on cable TV anymore.
Interesting enough, I've been watching it on YouTube for years now.
So it'll still be in YouTube. That's a good point.
I wasn't even sure that of course I haven't had cable in years, but I didn't even know this was an actual channel. Yeah,
this is on, I think my DirecTV Now has it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll stick around on that. But yeah, I used to watch it on DirecTV with a satellite dish, DirecTV, back in the day for launches and things like that.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I watch. But even NASA's not covering a lot of the launches now because SpaceX is doing their own broadcasts like that.
Yeah.
So
NASA's covering the NASA launches. It's not necessarily. I mean, it's involved in a lot of those SpaceX launches, obviously, but the FAA channel wouldn't show you every airplane takeoff either. Yeah. Which is kind of it's not exactly where we're going with NASA, but in some ways. Yeah. All right, let's talk about our buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
I will start because I think mine's shorter. The third season of Sweet Home is out on Netflix, and we've started watching it. Sweet Home started in season 1 as a story of people in an apartment complex when society breaks down, and you don't know why until it, and this is, in the description, so this isn't a spoiler, until they find out it's because people are turning into monsters. So it's a take on the zombie trope, except instead of turning into zombies, you turn into a mutant monster, and everybody has a different manifestation, right? So it's this apartment complex trying to keep themselves from getting infected by monsterization, trying to get information from the outside world, et cetera, et cetera. By season 3, we've progressed. They've left the apartment complex. We're out in the world. We're trying to figure out who the monsters are and who aren't. And are there people who can be monsters and you can't tell right away? And then there's one good monster and stuff like that. So I recommend watching season 1 of Sweet Home. I think it was really good. I liked it well enough that I kept wanting to know what happened and following the story. And I think they've maintained its quality fairly well. But it's not like, oh, season 3 is so good, you have to join in. It's not one of those situations where season 3 got so much better or anything like that. It's more of like, oh yeah, no, they're keeping the ball in the air, and it's interesting. I like it.
Anytime we can bring up a conversation where you use the term monsterification.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win for me.
Yeah. I also like that they did the genetic monster thing. Because again, with zombies, you get bit by a zombie, you become a zombie. End of story, right? With this, if you get infected, you don't know until you start mutating. And then, if your hand turns into a wing sometimes, that you can kind of hide that. But if you turn into a giant tongue monster, well, that's pretty noticeable, So it changes. Different for different people.
It's kind of like X-Men, but with contagion.
Yeah, and scary. What have you been watching, Amos?
I have been glued to the Olympics. I've been staying up far too late, getting up far too early, and basically just losing sleep because Paris is not in my time zone. My big sports for the Olympics are gymnastics, especially women's gymnastics, and then the track and field, mostly the distance running events.
And gymnastics is early, so yeah, that's a tough one.
It's been like last night I fell asleep. I was waiting for the floor exercises to come through, and the men were doing their high bar exercise, and I fell asleep waiting for the women to come back on while the guys were doing their thing. It's inconvenient, but I have been watching as much as possible. I'm not really a big Olympics guy until the Olympics get here, and I'm all about it.
Oh, interesting. So, okay, so you usually watch it, but it's not, you don't pay any attention to it the rest of the.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things like track and field championships, the world championships. I'll watch those because I enjoy watching the distance runners and stuff like that. The gymnastics championships, I'll watch those when you can find them on air, because a lot of times it's just YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Olympics come along, and like I never care about the Olympics at all until about 4 months
most
before
people,
they show up, and then I'm like all about it.
Yeah, most people don't pay any attention until they show up, and then they dive in. Yeah. In fact, the International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach predicted that this will be a record-breaking Paris Olympics for both broadcast and social media. Bach said that by the end of the games, half the world's 8 billion population will have tuned in at one point or another. The broadcast and digital figures are already better than Tokyo, and we're not even, we're just about halfway through. 83.3% audience share in France for the opening ceremony on July 26th. That's almost the entire country. And in the US, Peacock already topped its total of Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022 combined after the first 3 days of the games. Now, granted, more people have access to Peacock, fewer people have access to cable than they did at those games, but still, it sounds good. It sounds like everyone's watching. Yeah,
and stick around for After Talk, and I'll tell you what I didn't like about watching the Olympics.
This is good Amos saying, I like the Olympics. I've been watching a lot of the Olympics. Bad Amos will be on After Talk telling us what's wrong with NBC and Peacock and the Olympics. That's why you need After Talk, folks. You get the full story. Yeah. But generally speaking, you're enjoying watching the Olympics, it sounds like.
Yes, I'm enjoying the access and the quality of the broadcast, and the amount of viewing there is able, that you can actually go and find once you find it.
Yeah, excellent. So. All right. Do you have 500 pounds?
500 pounds. Now, Tom, I quit vaping earlier this year.
How
I stopped
much
drinking
is
soda,
500 pounds?
but I'm not 500 pounds. I know I've gained a few.
No. I mean the
gained a little weight.
currency. The currency. It's like that'd be like $639.
Oh, is this a TV tax?
No, this is the highest level of backing for my book Synced on unbound.com. If you were to back at that level, which one person already has, thank you very much.
There we go.
You get to be on DTNS. You get your name in the front of the book. You get a virtual meet and greet with me. And you get a first edition paperback signed by me. It's all, you basically get all of the perks that Unbound has for backing my book. You get to work with me to formulate and record a question. It will be featured on DTNS. You get a credit on DTNS. You get the signed thing. You get the author. You get it all. You get it all. Have your name at the front of the book too. So you get your name in the book with other levels, but if you're at this 500-pound level, you get your name at the front of the book.
Now, what if they don't have $500 though? What if that's just...
You could just buy the book. There's you can do the virtual meet and greet for 50 pounds. You can get an executive producer credit for 100 pounds. You can work to be on the podcast, have a question that you record for the podcast for 250 pounds. Or you can just buy the book. The book is £16.99. So it's like less than $20.
And we're talking about pounds here because it is a British publisher.
It's a British publisher. Yes. Yeah. So don't get too confused by that. But yeah, we are on our way to full funding. And if you at all wanted to be able to say like, oh yeah, I backed Tom's book Synced in the, at the beginning. I didn't buy it later. I was there from the start. You want to get in on it now. tomsnewbook.com. Be one of the founders of the book. I handed in the manuscript last week and it's good. I am proud of it. I cannot wait for you to read it. We're only going to make it better during the edit. And it's going to have everything you need to understand technology in it. So go check it out. tomsnewbook.com. Scanning the Horizon is next.
Is it?
It is.
Should we do that?
Yes.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Not too much news. We're a little bit of an August lull on the newsy news kinds of things out here. But looks like Max rolled out its whole page optimization system in the US last month. That is called a redesign in other language. I guess it's a little more than a redesign. They're doing personalized rows of content the way Netflix does, right? So what it knows about your viewing habits and your preferences will change what shows up on your homepage. Liesl Kipp, who is the Senior Vice President of Global Streaming at Warner Brothers Discovery, said that they've seen a meaningful lift in how long people watch content on Max since they rolled it out. So go check it out if you haven't already.
This is one of those things that's been long overdue. I think every streaming service we have needs a facelift and just a reorganization because they all kind of went on that Netflix model that Netflix had a long time ago, and they've just kind of stayed there. And
it's about time they updated to the ripping off current Netflix instead of old Netflix. Yeah,
exactly.
I think it looks good, honestly. I think this is one of the first fruits of the rebuilding Max from the ground up. Remember, they made us all get new apps, and they were using some of the Discovery Plus infrastructure instead of the HBO Max infrastructure, which has improved its streaming reliability quite a bit. And now you get a more useful homepage. So
I wonder if this redesign is like the last step now that they've got all the the metadata and everything else converted and merged. Maybe this is like the last thing because you don't want to build a new interface to look at two different tables of data. Yeah. So
no, that makes sense.
I wonder.
I don't know if this is the last. It certainly is kind of the pinnacle of that sort of thing, right? Inside Out 2 has passed the first Avengers movie and Furious 7 to become the number 10 grossing movie of all time. $1.524 billion for Inside Out 2. Well in front of Inside Out 1.
Yeah. I refresh my memory. Did you watch this?
No, I have not seen this yet.
I haven't either. All my kids have, but I haven't seen it.
Everyone says I'm less of a human because I have not seen it.
Oh, well, I'm there with you at least.
Everyone. No, people have said it's like touchingly good. So
yeah, I've heard it basically takes the concept of Inside Out and then turns it into the movie that you wanted Inside Out to be.
Okay. Now, Scooper Nova Girl, whose opinion I respect, says, I've seen it. It's good. Not as good as one.
Oh.
So
interesting.
Your opinions may vary.
That's a hot take right there.
And then Netflix's Geeked Week event. That's the event where they throw so many trailers at you that we don't have time to talk about them on Cordkillers and have to do a lightning round. That is going to take place September 16th and will end with an in-person event in Atlanta on the 19th.
Okay.
So if you're in Atlanta or want to get to Atlanta, you can take part in Geeked Week in person.
This is conveniently after Dragon Con is over.
Yeah,
so
right. I was thinking the same thing.
That would have been a nice little mashup there, but well,
yeah.
This is what, 2 weeks after Dragon Con?
Geeked Week. This is just, I feel about this the way I do about Prime Day. It's like just kind of a made up thing.
You're such a fan of Prime Day.
I hate Prime Day. From a news perspective. So yeah, last year we got Avatar: The Last Airbender, Three Body Problem, Rebel Moon, those kind of trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, The Verge guesses we'll probably get Arcane Season 2 trailer, Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft, probably a full Squid Game trailer, probably some Stranger Things teases. Who knows what else? Geeked Week, September 16th. All right, let's finish up with the cheddar.
You've got mail.
We did. We got a mail from Steven who says, in episode 511, you guys talked about the new NBA rights deal and mentioned the remaining minor sports that might fall into the realm of the various networks and streaming platforms. My favorite racing series is IndyCar, and they just recently announced a new broadcast deal with Fox Sports, which means you'll be able to watch it on Venu. For the last 16 seasons, IndyCar has been exclusively with NBC. Over the last few seasons, they've had some races exclusive on Peacock. Current 2024 IndyCar has just half the races on NBC, the remaining ones on USA or Peacock. The new deal with Fox will have all 17 races on Network Fox, which will make IndyCar the only motorsport series whose races will be aired exclusively on broadcast television in the US. All IndyCar practices and qualifying will be broadcast on FS1 and FS2. IndyCar's second-tier series, Indy NXT, will get their races broadcast on FS1 and FS2, which will be the first time they've ever had their races broadcast on television. Motorsports viewership has been on the uptick ever since F1's Drive to Survive has taken off, and I feel like this is a good example of a company going for one of the minor series in hopes that increased exposure will help the series gain more popularity. You're a racing aficionado on the NASCAR side, right? Do you feel the pain here?
I just have one word, Tom.
Yes.
Why? Why can't NASCAR do this? Just give me one place to watch the races. Make it to where I can watch all the races online without having 15 different services. Do anything in this direction, please, NASCAR. Like, come on. It's so frustrating.
So NASCAR's on
days.
Fox. And
they split their season up between NBC and Fox.
Yeah, and NBC. Okay.
I think it's NBC. Might be CBS. They split their season up between the two, and then within those, it'll still go to certain places. Like it might be on USA Network.
Oh, I see.
So
it's NBC, but not always broadcast NBC. It's Fox,
right.
But it might be FS1.
Right. Yeah. So even if it is a Fox and I get a good Fox signal from my house, I can't watch it because it's on FS1, not on something I can watch from my antenna. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in streaming is when I could catch NFL games like live, at least one game per time slot live on my computer, on my phone. And then I could watch all the other games in after the game ended or whatever.
Yeah.
Give me that on this without making me wait 2 days to hopefully catch it on YouTube. And then not add anything to it, just have the race without the
it sounds like
commentary or anything else.
Steven used to live in your world with IndyCar racing,
Right.
and they have now moved to one network. So there's hope, is what I'm saying. There's hope. Hope for you. And then Rapid Eye wrote, thanks to Tom, my wife is now addicted to Peacock's Olympic Gold Zone. We were grousing on day 2 of the Olympics about how much the network coverage of the Olympics really didn't show what we wanted to watch. I remembered hearing Tom talk about how much he liked the Gold Zone coverage, and I also remember you guys covering how Verizon was doing a promo for Peacock and Netflix. So I pulled the trigger on the Verizon deal, and not only did I save a pile of cash on my normal Netflix subscription, I also got Peacock for free, essentially. Since I showed the Gold Zone to my wife, our TV has been running it all day long, from when we get up to when they cut it off at the end of the day. There was one point a few days ago where they had 6 different windows up at the same time showing 6 different events. Wow. Good thing we've got a 70-inch TV. Thanks for the great tips. Oh, I'm glad it worked for you, Rapid Eye. We've been kind of doing the same thing, just having it on.
Yeah, Gold Zone works out really well when there's not a sport on that I particularly want to watch, but you want to catch the drama of some of the sports you don't normally watch.
Yeah.
And it zooms in and you're like, oh, whoa. Yeah, like the archery, 2 millimeters.
And the hosts of Gold Zone, you would think would be, superfluous, right? Like
Yeah.
just switching. They do a great job of using those hosts, making those hosts knowledgeable so that they can give you context when you're switching a lot of times, which is really helpful.
It's just like the NFL Red Zone.
It's the Red Zone.
so-
It's the former Red Zone guys. Apparently
Yeah.
they're not the Red Zone guys now, but they cut
Yeah.
their chops on Red Zone.
Yeah, the new Red Zone guide's not as good as the old guy was, but it's the same format. It's the same. We're going to zoom in on this right here. We're going to pull out. We're going to watch kind of all of them, and this one's going on. This one's going on at the same time. We'll dual screen it, and this focusing on what's actually really important of what's happening during the Olympics. It's great. It works great if you're not super interested and buried into one particular sport and you just want to have them on and kind of catch the drama as it happens.
I remember watching Gold Zone years ago, and part of it was the time difference. So I wasn't able to catch a lot of the events because the time difference, I think for Beijing Summer Olympics wasn't great, but they also didn't have it down yet. They were missing things and not providing context, and they're just so much better at it now. So
Yeah.
well done on that.
Next Olympics, we're not going to have to worry about the time zone differences.
The next Summer Olympics, correct. Yeah, it'll
It's
be,
gonna be
I'll
you're
have to
gonna-
worry about traffic is what I'll have to worry about
Yep.
because it's in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Amos, for filling in for Brian today, man.
That's it's what I do. My title here is producer at large, which means I just kind of fill in whatever role needs to be filled in.
There you go.
At whatever time it needs to be filled. So
That's perfect. Well, you did great. Cordkillers@gmail.com. Tell Amos how great he did. Our website is cordkillers.com. That email address again is cordkillers@gmail.com. We are live on twitch.tv/Night Attack Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you again next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.